So I see qualitative interviewing as more like a conversation, but it's an unusual conversation. It's a conversation that is held between two people where the one person tries to take a back seat in the conversation whilst at the same time remaining attentive to the conversation and keeping the conversation going. So it's a very difficult form of interviewing.
I see interviewing as a means by which we gain entrance into people's worlds. It provides the researcher the opportunity to enter into people's worlds and understand their experience from their own perspective. One thing that made me fall in love with interviewing was that it offered the opportunity for the researcher to enter into a conversation with your participants.
I think the other thing that's very important for me is that we don't go into a qualitative interview with an interview schedule. I don't like to see people having a series of questions that they want answers to. I think it's fine to have a couple of bottom lines, things that you don't want to leave the room without having had discussed. But that's different to saying that you've got questions and you have to have the answer to the question.
The most important thing for me as somebody who does in-depth interviews is that when I approach an interview, I have one open-ended question that I ask my participants to begin off with.
You must always be prepared to expect the unexpected. By that I mean when I went with my questionnaires, I realized that everything that I had on my questionnaire, when I started to do the interviewing, most of the participants actually brought concepts, which were not in the questionnaire, So I had to kind of adjust to that.
To get at experiences of the phenomenon requires us to engage with the person as a human being and to have a conversation which is unstructured and very difficult to prepare for. So you can't prepare a series of questions in the same way as it would be very weird if your friend asked you out for coffee and you then prepared for the conversation that would unfold.
I was actually happy to find things that I didn't expect because, at the end of the day, that's the whole point.
The other thing I've learned with doing interviews is that you need to be very attentive. You have to be an attentive listener. You need to listen with your mind and you need to listen with your heart. So as they are speaking, I've learned that I shouldn't interrupt them. I should let them speak, and only when they are done talking can I make follow-ups and ask them questions.
Also, I think it's important to let the participant talk rather than constantly interrupting the participant. I found that writing the questions down that come up as the participant is speaking was particularly useful for me.
So what is important about doing this then is that you need to be very attentive in the sense that you need to be jotting down trigger words from what they're saying so that you can use them to make follow-on questions and seek clarification and seek further elaboration on what they would have said.
If you ask somebody how they experienced something, they might, for example, tell you that they found it challenging. Now, that is a trigger word for me because it doesn't really mean anything. It's the kind of thing that people say. It's the kind of thing that just washes over us. It doesn't really tell us anything. We could have 15 different people telling us that something is challenging. We wouldn't really know what the nature of those challenges are, or why that person found it challenging, or why they chose that word, or what that word really means to them.
So I wait for the participants to finish or tell me a story about that particular phenomenon that I am investigating, and then later I ask questions like, so earlier on you talked about emotions when interviewing. Can you tell me how you felt in that particular situation?
And so one of the things that is quite useful in qualitative interviewing is to listen for those outside voice words, challenging, passionate, and in those moments to follow up and to ask for more information.